The Boötes Void. You are looking up at the night sky, assuming the darkness between the stars is merely distance. You are incorrect. If you were positioned in the center of the Boötes Void, you would not know other galaxies existed until the invention of the telescope in the 1960s. You are staring into a mathematically impossible absence. This is a spherical region of space, measuring 330 million light-years across. Based on the fundamental density of the observable universe, this specific volume of space should contain exactly 10,000 galaxies. It contains 60, discovered by Robert Kirshner in 1981. This anomaly cannot be explained by standard cosmological models. It is entirely too large to have formed through normal galactic drift since the Big Bang. The physics required to clear a space this massive do not exist in our current understanding of the universe. You are looking at a region that behaves precisely like an expanding sphere of deleted data, an erasure of matter on a scale that defies gravity itself. It is a terrifyingly empty dead zone expanding outward, consuming the scaffolding of the cosmos. Your understanding of reality is built on the assumption of uniform distribution. But this void proves that entire sections of the universe can simply be wiped clean. You live in a structure that is missing massive, structural components, and you are completely exposed to whatever force is capable of deleting 10,000 galaxies without a trace. The Great Attractor. You feel stationary. You believe your position in the universe is stable, anchored by the gravity of your solar system. This is an illusion. You, your planet, and the entire Milky Way galaxy are currently being dragged through space at 1.3 million miles per hour. You are in free fall toward a gravitational anomaly, tens of thousands of times more massive than our entire galaxy. It is known as the Great Attractor, discovered in the 1970 through the mapping of the cosmic microwave background dipole. This structure exerts a physical force so absolute that it dictates the trajectory of our entire local supercluster. You cannot observe what is pulling you. It lies perfectly concealed in the zone of avoidance, positioned exactly behind the dense dust and stars of our own galactic center. You are being reeled in by a mechanism of incomprehensible density, and your own galaxy is blinding you to it. There is no escaping this trajectory. The structural integrity of our local group of galaxies is being steadily warped by a centralized mass we cannot map or measure. Your entire existence is in transit toward a point of convergence that obliterates standard gravitational models. You are entirely at the mercy of a blind spot in your own sky, hurtling at terminal velocity toward a cosmic structure that possesses enough mass to consume your entire stellar neighborhood. To slow down. You trust the ocean below you is a silent, static abyss, populated only by biological entities and tectonic shifts. You are drastically misinformed. Deep in the equatorial Pacific Ocean, an autonomous hydrophone array recorded an event that shatters geological probability. Over a continuous period of exactly 7 minutes, NOAA sensors captured a sound that gradually and steadily decreased in frequency. It is classified as slow down. This acoustic signature does not match any known biological organism, seismic event, or ice sheet deterioration. It behaves exactly like the acoustic profile of a massive, slowly failing mechanical engine, decelerating in the crushing pressure of the deep sea. The acoustic footprint is so immense that it was recorded simultaneously by sensors spaced thousands of miles apart. You are listening to the friction of a submerged architecture, grinding to a halt. Your assumption that the deep ocean is merely water and rock is compromised. There is a mechanism of unknown origin and unfathomable scale operating beneath the tectonic plates, executing mechanical decay. You are floating above an active, deteriorating structure that dwarfs any human engineering. The failure of this deep-sea mechanism was broadcast across the entire Pacific Basin, proving that the foundation of your planet harbors operational, decaying anomalies that remain entirely unmapped and unexplained. The train's sound. You are submerged in absolute darkness, surrounded by miles of freezing salt water. You expect silence, perhaps interrupted only by the slow drift of currents. You are mistaken. You are in the path of a sonic event that sounds precisely like a massive, high-speed locomotive rushing through the deep sea. Recorded by NOAA in 1997 in the Antarctic Sea, this acoustic signature is classified simply as train. It is a continuous, roaring persistence of sound that completely defies all known biological explanations. Whales and deep-sea predators do not generate industrial, mechanical friction on this scale. The official explanation attributes this violent noise to the grounding of massive icebergs dragging across the ocean floor. However, the sheer mechanical violence of the recording indicates a kinetic transfer of energy that operates on an apocalyptic scale. You are listening to the structural erosion of the planet's ice shelves, a grinding planetary engine tearing itself apart in the dark. Your illusion of a peaceful, stable deep ocean is shattered. You exist on a world where the very ice caps operate like submerged industrial machinery, scraping across the bedrock with enough force to deafen hydrophone arrays thousands of miles away. You are standing on a fragile crust, oblivious to the fact that beneath the surface, the continent itself is screaming. The friction generated by this event implies a mass and velocity that human engineering could never replicate. You are a passenger on a geological structure that is actively fracturing, and this sound is the undeniable proof that the stability of your environment is temporary. Upsweep. You observe the ocean's behavior and assume its rhythms are predictable, governed by tides and seasonal temperatures. You are fundamentally miscalculating the scale of its activity. Since the Pacific Marine Environmental Laboratory began recording in 1991, an acoustic phenomenon known as upsweep has been relentlessly broadcasting from the deep. You are hearing a long train of narrow band, upsweeping sounds sweeping upward in frequency like a siren. This is not a random occurrence. It is fiercely seasonal, peaking every spring and autumn. This periodicity suggests an organized system, either a massive, undocumented biological migration of impossible proportions, or a shifting tectonic pattern we entirely fail to understand. The source is located near a zone of presumed volcanic seismicity, yet standard volcanism does not produce rhythmic, repeating siren calls. You are detecting the heartbeat of a massive, submerged system that cycles with terrifying regularity. Your belief that human science has categorized all major planetary cycles is entirely compromised. There is a mechanism, biological or geological, that activates and deactivates on a precise schedule, emitting a frequency designed to cut through miles of ocean. You are living on a planet that operates on hidden frequencies, completely detached from your perception of time and season, broadcasting a signal you were never meant to hear. The undeniable consistency of upsweep proves that a massive, coordinated mechanism is functioning perfectly in the abyss. You are forced to accept that the true drivers of planetary activity are submerged, autonomous, and operating on a logic that entirely excludes human awareness. Whistle. You are isolated in a deep-water trench, monitoring the acoustics of the abyss. You anticipate the low, rolling rumbles of tectonic movement. Instead, you are hit with a high-pitched, sustained shriek. Recorded in 1997 by the NOAA PMEL Acoustics Program, this anomaly is designated as whistle. It sounds exactly like a colossal, boiling kettle venting steam under catastrophic pressure. Unlike other oceanic anomalies, whistle was picked up by only one single hydrophone. This dictates that it was a highly localized, fiercely concentrated release of pressure, rather than a basin-wide broadcast. It has never been recorded again. You are analyzing an acoustic signature that indicates a pinpoint rupture in the Earth's crust, a sudden venting of unimaginable geothermal violence that sealed itself almost instantly. The isolation of the signal proves it was a localized failure, a solitary scream from the seabed. Your assumption that the ocean floor is a stable foundation is mathematically false. You are resting on a pressurized membrane that can vent apocalyptic amounts of energy at random, localized coordinates without any warning. This single event proves that the crust beneath the ocean is not a solid shield, but a fractured containment vessel. You are perpetually exposed to the reality that at any moment, the pressure holding your reality together can simply blow. The fact that this specific frequency has never repeated only deepens the terror. It means whatever mechanism released that energy is not cyclic, but entirely erratic. You exist in an environment where localized, catastrophic venting occurs randomly, completely invisible to the surface world. The sky quakes. You are standing in an open field on a clear, cloudless day. You assume the sky above you is an empty void of atmosphere. You are violently corrected. Without warning, a massive sonic boom detonates directly overhead, rattling the ground beneath your feet. There is no aircraft, no meteor, and absolutely zero corresponding seismic activity. You have just experienced a skyquake, documented globally for centuries, and known by localized names like the Seneca guns or the Barisal guns. These unexplained detonations completely predate the invention of supersonic flight. You cannot blame military testing or commercial aviation. You are hearing the atmosphere itself fracture. The concussive force of these events is severe enough to shatter windows and trigger car alarms, yet the source remains entirely invisible. You are witnessing a rapid displacement of air mass that generates artillery-level sound waves from an empty sky. Your fundamental trust in the safety and emptiness of the atmosphere is shattered. The sky above you is not a passive canopy. It is an active, volatile medium capable of generating localized shockwaves without any identifiable catalyst. You are living at the bottom of a pressurized atmospheric ocean that can detonate without warning. Your physical safety is entirely dependent on a sky that periodically explodes for reasons science cannot yet compute. These acoustic detonations prove that invisible, high-energy atmospheric anomalies are constantly occurring directly above your head. You are completely defenseless against a shockwave generated from thin air, forcing you to accept that the very air you breathe harbors invisible, explosive tension. Saturn rings. You observe Saturn through a telescope and perceive a serene, silent giant suspended in the vacuum of space. The rings appear to be a tranquil disk of dust and ice. You are observing a silent projection. If your biology could interpret radio frequencies, you would be deafened by what the Cassini spacecraft recorded in 2002. Using its radio and plasma wave science instrument, Cassini intercepted intense emissions radiating directly from the planetary rings. It does not sound like static. It sounds exactly like a terrifying, descending mechanical alarm, a cascading siren of electromagnetic noise broadcasting across the solar system. The interaction of microscopic dust particles, ice, and plasma within Saturn's massive magnetic field generates a continuous, shrieking frequency. You are staring at a planetary structure that functions as a colossal, natural broadcasting station, emitting a warning siren born from sheer kinetic violence. Your assumption that space is an environment of profound quiet is entirely inaccurate. You live in a solar system where entire planetary rings are actively screaming in frequencies your ears cannot decode. You are surrounded by massive, deafening electromagnetic friction, and the only reason you do not hear the solar system tearing itself apart is because your biology lacks the necessary receiver. The terrifying descent of this audio signature implies a chaotic dissipation of energy that dwarfs human comprehension. You are forced to accept that the celestial bodies you admire for their beauty are actually violent, deafening engines of plasma and radiation, constantly bombarding your world with hostile acoustic data. Jupiter bow. You stand on Earth, shielded by a magnetic field you cannot see, assuming the mechanics of the solar system are smooth and frictionless. You are blind to the violence of planetary physics. When the Voyager spacecraft approached Jupiter in 1979, it crossed the boundary where the solar wind slams into the gas giant's magnetosphere. This collision creates a bow shock a planetary-scale shockwave. The resulting electromagnetic waves were converted into audio. It sounds exactly like a high-pitched, screaming banshee. You are listening to the sound of solar radiation, violently tearing against an invisible magnetic shield at millions of miles per hour. The sheer kinetic ferocity required to generate this acoustic signature is apocalyptic. It proves that the space between planets is not empty. It is a raging storm of charged particles colliding with planetary defense mechanisms. You are a passenger on a planet, undergoing this exact same violent process every single second. The only reason your atmosphere has not been stripped away is a magnetic shield, enduring a perpetual, screaming assault from the sun. Your survival is entirely dependent on an invisible barrier, fighting a shrieking, radioactive war just outside your atmosphere. If that shield fails, the banshee you hear at Jupiter will be the last sound your planet ever makes. The acoustic brutality of the Jupiter bow shock is undeniable proof that you exist in an actively hostile environment. You are suspended in a high-speed collision course between solar radiation and planetary magnetics, surviving purely by the grace of a mechanism you cannot even perceive, let alone control. Fast radio bursts. You look into deep space and assume the universe operates on timelines of billions of years, moving with slow, predictable grace. You are ignoring the flashes. In 2007, astronomers discovered the Lorimer burst, the first confirmed fast radio burst. These are incredibly intense flashes of radio energy from deep space that last only milliseconds. In a fraction of a second, an FRB releases as much energy as our sun will produce in 3 days. You are detecting the echoes of cataclysmic mechanisms that annihilate the concept of slow stellar evolution. To generate a pulse of this magnitude in less time than it takes you to blink requires an engine of catastrophic power, colliding neutron stars, collapsing black holes, or physics we cannot map. The brevity of the signal means the violence was sudden, absolute, and terminal. You live in a universe where entire stellar masses can detonate and broadcast their destruction across the cosmos in a millisecond. Your perception of time is completely outpaced by the speed of these cosmic executions. You are exposed to a reality where unimaginable energy releases happen in the space of a heartbeat, proving that the stability of the universe is an illusion masking constant, rapid-fire detonations. You are simply waiting in the crossfire. The undeniable consistency of upsweep proves that a massive, coordinated mechanism is functioning perfectly in the abyss. You are forced to accept that the true drivers of planetary activity are submerged, autonomous, and operating on a logic that entirely excludes human awareness. Black hole chirp. You understand gravity as a force that keeps your feet on the ground and planets in orbit. You believe it is a silent, static geometry. You are fundamentally incorrect. In 2015, the LIGO Observatory detected an event designated as GW 150,914. It was the exact sound of two black holes colliding and merging. The massive distortion of spacetime created gravitational waves that rippled across the universe, hitting Earth and producing a distinct chirp. You are listening to the sound of space itself being torn, stretched, and violently reconfigured. This is not a sound traveling through air. It is the fabric of reality physically vibrating. The chirp represents a fraction of a second, where the energy output of those two merging black holes was 50 times greater than the combined power of all the stars in the observable universe. You are experiencing the acoustic signature of reality being rewritten. Your assumption that the laws of physics are absolute and unbending is shattered by this recording. Spacetime is a flexible, highly volatile membrane that can ring like a bell when struck with enough mass. You are standing on a planet that is constantly expanding and contracting as these gravitational waves pass through you, proving that your physical reality is nothing more than a vibrating surface entirely at the mercy of deep space collisions. The exact mathematical precision of the chirp proves that this violent distortion follows strict, undeniable rules of physics that operate far beyond human scale. You are physically composed of atoms that were briefly stretched and compressed by an invisible wave generated billions of years ago, permanently linking your biology to cosmic destruction. FRB 121,102. You categorize cosmic anomalies as random acts of nature, chaotic bursts of radiation devoid of intent. You are desperate to believe this. Discovered by the Arecibo Observatory and tracked since 2012, FRB 121,102 destroys the assumption of randomness. Unlike standard single-flash fast radio bursts, this signal repeats. It operates on a highly structured, mathematically precise 157-day cycle. It is actively emitted from a dwarf galaxy 3 billion light-years away. It activates, broadcasts a series of violent radio flashes, and goes entirely silent, only to repeat the sequence flawlessly. You are looking at a transmission that exhibits mechanical predictability. The mechanisms required to generate this level of energy do not reset on a clean 157-day schedule naturally. The mathematical precision of this cycle suggests an engineered origin, a beacon, or an exhaust sequence from an architecture spanning a solar system. Your assumption that the laws of physics are absolute and unbending is shattered by this recording. Spacetime is a flexible, highly volatile membrane that can ring like a bell when struck with enough mass. You are standing on a planet that is constantly expanding and contracting as these gravitational waves pass through you, proving that your physical reality is nothing more than a vibrating surface entirely at the mercy of deep space collisions. The exact mathematical precision of the chirp proves that this violent distortion follows strict, undeniable rules of physics that operate far beyond human scale. You are physically composed of atoms that were briefly stretched and compressed by an invisible wave generated billions of years ago, permanently linking your biology to cosmic destruction. Torrid meteor. You trust your senses. You believe that when you see a meteor streak across the sky, any sound it makes will be delayed, because light travels faster than sound. You are fundamentally misunderstanding human biology, documented extensively by physicist Colin Key in 1980. Observers frequently report hearing a distinct hiss or crackle simultaneously as they see a meteor overhead. This is the electrophonic meteor anomaly. Because sound cannot travel through the atmosphere that quickly, you are not hearing the meteor. The meteor is generating massive electromagnetic pulses that bypass your ears and interface directly with your nervous system. You are experiencing sensory hijacking. The electromagnetic field created by the meteor's re-entry vibrates the objects around you, and even the tissues within your own skull, translating the radiation directly into acoustic data in your brain. Your assumption that your body is a closed, secure system is biologically false. You are an antenna. A piece of space debris burning up in the atmosphere is capable of transmitting an electromagnetic signal that forcibly writes audio data directly into your sensory cortex. You are entirely vulnerable to electromagnetic interference from the sky, proving that your perception of reality can be rewritten instantly by forces plummeting through the stratosphere. The electrophonic hiss is undeniable proof that your nervous system is intimately, dangerously connected to the electromagnetic violence of the cosmos. You are forced to accept that your brain is essentially a receiver, constantly exposed to invisible signals that can bypass your biological defenses and inject data directly into your consciousness without your consent. The realization that your nervous system can be hijacked by external electromagnetic signals is unsettling, but it is only the beginning. The vulnerabilities in your hardware extend far beyond cosmic interference. Your brain is actively misinterpreting data, fabricating memories, and executing flawed protocols every single day. The true terror is not what the universe is broadcasting into your skull, but the errors your own mind is generating from within. If you want to understand the exact mechanisms your brain uses to deceive you, and the critical failure points in your own consciousness, click the video on your screen right now. We are going to expose the terrifying architecture of psychological glitches and prove exactly why you cannot trust your own memory.